The morning shift at Nexus 7 trading station was always busy. Lee Min-ho wiped sweat from his face as he moved another heavy cargo box from the transport ship to the storage area. The box weighed about 200 pounds, but Min-ho carried it like it was nothing. He had been working as a cargo handler for 6 months now, ever since he left the Korean Special Forces and joined the space program. Another one coming through, called Kim Tae-sung from inside the ship. He pushed out a metal crate that made a loud scraping sound on the floor. This one's got machine parts for the mining colony. Min-ho nodded and walked over to grab the crate. Around them, other workers from different planets were doing their jobs too. There were tall blue aliens with 4 arms, small green ones with big eyes, and fuzzy creatures that looked like walking carpets. The trading station was like a busy airport, but for spaceships from all over the galaxy. "Hey, human!" The voice was loud and mean. Min-ho looked up to see a group of aliens walking toward the cargo area. They were tall, about 7 feet, with dark green scales covering their bodies. Their eyes were yellow and cold, like a snake's eyes. Min-ho knew what they were: Zephyrians. They were known all over the galaxy as warriors and bullies. The one in front was female. She had bright red marks on her scales and wore metal armor that showed off her muscles. This was Vexara, and she owned one of the biggest trading companies in this part of space. She was also known for being mean to other species, especially humans. "Look at this," Vexara said to her friends, pointing at Min-ho. "The weak little humans are doing real work now." "How cute." Her friends laughed. There were 3 other Zephyrians with her, all big and strong-looking. They walked closer to where Min-ho was standing. Other workers in the area started to notice what was happening. Some stopped working to watch. Others moved away, not wanting trouble. "I heard humans are the weakest race in the galaxy," Vexara continued, her voice getting louder. "Is that true, little human?" Min-ho put down the crate he was holding and looked at her calmly. "I'm just trying to do my job," he said in a quiet voice. "Your job?" Vexara laughed, and it sounded like glass breaking. "You call this work? Moving these tiny boxes around? My people could do this with their eyes closed." Park So-jin, the human diplomatic officer for the station, heard the noise and came over quickly. She was a small woman with short black hair and worried eyes. "Is there a problem here?" she asked. "No problem," Vexara said with a mean smile. "I was just talking to your worker here about how strong humans are supposed to be. Or should I say how weak they are?" "Please, there's no need for trouble," So-jin said. "Everyone here is just trying to work." But Vexara was not interested in peace. She had been planning this for weeks. Humans had been getting more jobs in space, and she didn't like it. She wanted to show everyone that humans were too weak to be working alongside real aliens. "I have an idea," Vexara said, walking closer to Min-ho. "Let's have a little test, a strength test. I want to see how strong this human really is." A crowd was forming now. Workers from all over the cargo bay were coming to watch. Min-ho could see Captain Ralthek, the station's bug-like security chief, pushing through the crowd. But he was still far away. "I don't want any trouble," Min-ho said again. "Trouble?" Vexara laughed. "This isn't trouble. This is just fun. Come on, human. Show everyone how strong you are." Before Min-ho could say anything else, Vexara reached out and grabbed his arm. Her claws were sharp and long, designed to cut through metal. She squeezed his arm as hard as she could, expecting him to scream and fall to his knees. But nothing happened. Vexara squeezed harder. Her claws pressed into Min-ho's skin, but they couldn't break through. It was like trying to cut rock with a butter knife. Min-ho just stood there, looking at her with calm eyes. "What?" Vexara said, confused. She looked at her claws, then at Min-ho's arm. There were no cuts, no blood, not even a scratch. "How is this possible?" The crowd started to whisper. They had never seen anything like this before. Zephyrian claws could cut through most materials. They should have torn through human skin easily. Vexara's face turned darker green, which meant she was getting angry. "You must have some kind of armor under your clothes," she said. "I'm not wearing any armor," Min-ho replied calmly. "Liar!" Vexara shouted. She was getting embarrassed in front of all these people. She couldn't let a weak human make her look bad. I'll show everyone what humans are really made of. She pulled back her fist and threw a punch at Minho's stomach. In her mind, this would end the whole thing. The punch would hit him in the belly, he would fall down gasping for air, and everyone would see that humans were still the weakest species in the galaxy. Her fist flew through the air with incredible force. Zephyrians were strong enough to punch holes in spaceship walls. Her punch could break bones and crush organs. It should have sent Minho flying across the room. Her fist hit Minho's stomach with a loud thud, and then there was a sound like a branch breaking. But it wasn't Minho who screamed. Vexara's eyes went wide with shock and pain. She pulled her hand back and looked at it. 3 of her fingers were bent in the wrong direction. Her knuckles were swollen and turning purple. Her hand was broken. She had punched what felt like a wall made of steel. Minho's stomach muscles were so hard that her punch had broken her own hand. "Ugh!" Vexara screamed, holding her broken hand against her chest. "What are you made of?" The crowd went completely silent. No one could believe what they had just seen. The strongest warrior species in the galaxy had just broken her hand punching a human in the stomach, and the human was still standing there, not even breathing hard. Minho looked down at Vexara, who was still screaming and holding her hand. "I tried to tell you," he said quietly. "I just wanted to do my job." Captain Raltek finally pushed through the crowd, his insect eyes wide with shock. "What happened here?" he demanded. "She punched him and broke her hand," said one of the 4-armed blue aliens. "That's impossible," Raltek said. But he could see Vexara's broken hand, and he could see Minho standing there without a scratch. Vexara looked up at Minho with fear in her yellow eyes. For the first time in her life, she had met someone stronger than her. Someone who had made her look weak in front of everyone, and that someone was supposed to be from the weakest species in the galaxy. As the crowd slowly began to break up and Captain Raltek called for medical help, news of what had happened started to spread through the station's communication systems. Within hours, the story would reach every corner of the galaxy. The story of the day when everything everyone thought they knew about humans turned out to be completely wrong. 3 hours after Vexara broke her hand, the news was everywhere. On every level of Nexus 7 trading station, aliens were talking about what happened in the cargo bay. Some said it was impossible. Others said the human must have been wearing secret armor. But everyone who saw it happen told the same story. The weak human had broken a Zephyrian warrior's hand just by standing there. Dr. Yoon Hae-jin was in her small medical office when she heard the news. She was the only human doctor on the station, and she took care of both humans and aliens who got sick or hurt. When Captain Raltek called her to the security office, she thought someone was in trouble. "Dr. Yoon," the bug-like captain said, his 4 eyes looking worried. "I need to ask you about human biology." "What kind of questions?" Hae-jin asked, sitting down in the chair across from his desk. "How strong are humans, really?" Hae-jin was confused. "What do you mean?" "Humans are normal, I guess. Why are you asking?" Captain Raltek told her about what happened with Minho and Vexara. As he talked, Hae-jin's eyes got wider and wider. "That's impossible," she said when he finished. "Zephyrians are much stronger than humans. Everyone knows that." "But it happened," Raltek said. "I saw Vexara's hand myself. 3 broken fingers and a cracked knuckle, and the human didn't even have a bruise." Hae-jin was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Can I examine some of the humans on the station? I want to run some tests." "What kind of tests?" "Basic physical tests. Strength, bone density, muscle mass. If something strange is happening, I need to understand it." Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Ambassador Krixtal was very angry. He was the official representative of the Zephyrian Empire, and he had just received a very embarrassing report. One of his people had been hurt by a human. Not in a fight, not in an accident, but by trying to hurt the human and failing. "This is unacceptable," he shouted at his assistant, a smaller Zephyrian, named Glex. "Humans are the weakest species in the galaxy. How did one of them hurt Vexara?" "Sir," Glex said carefully, The reports say that Vexara hurt herself. She punched the human and broke her own hand. That's even worse. Krixtal's scales turned dark red with anger. That means this human is some kind of freak, or the humans are lying about how weak they are. Krixtal started pacing around his office. The Zephyrian Empire was built on being the strongest warriors in space. If humans were actually stronger than Zephyrians, it would change everything. Get me a meeting with the human diplomat, he ordered. I want answers. Back in the cargo bay, Minho's friend Kim Tae-sung was trying to fix a broken control panel. The panel controlled the gravity lifts that moved heavy cargo around the bay, but the panel was old and the screws holding it together were stuck. Stupid thing, Tae-sung muttered, trying to turn a screw with his wrench. The screw wouldn't move. He put more pressure on the wrench, trying to force it. Snap! The wrench broke in half. But it wasn't the handle that broke. The metal part of the wrench, made of titanium, had bent and twisted like it was made of soft clay. Tae-sung stared at the broken wrench in his hands. Around him, several insect-like engineers from the station stopped their work to look. How did you do that? Asked one of the engineers, his voice full of shock. I don't know, Tae-sung said. I was just trying to turn the screw. That wrench is made of titanium, another engineer said. It takes 3,000 pounds of force to bend titanium like that. 3,000 pounds? Tae-sung looked at his hands like he had never seen them before. But I was barely trying. The engineers looked at each other with their big compound eyes. First, a human had broken a Zephyrian's hand. Now another human had bent a titanium tool without even trying. What was going on? Dr. Yoon Hye-jin was getting very strange results from her tests. She had asked 10 humans on the station to come to her office for a quick physical exam. What she found made no sense. Minho, she said, looking at the scanner results. According to this machine, your bones are 3 times denser than they should be. What does that mean? Minho asked. It means your bones are like rocks. No wonder Vexara's claws couldn't cut you. She looked at another screen. And your muscle fibers, I've never seen anything like this. Is something wrong with me? Wrong? No, you're just much stronger than anyone thought humans could be. She turned to look at the other test results. All of you are. Every human I tested today is physically much stronger than our medical records say you should be. Park So-jin was having a very difficult day. Ambassador Krixtal had demanded a meeting and he was not happy. Your people are hiding something, he said, his yellow eyes glaring at her across the conference table. No human should be able to hurt a Zephyrian warrior. Ambassador, I promise you we're not hiding anything, So-jin said. We're just as surprised as you are. Surprised? Krixtal laughed, but it sounded mean. You expect me to believe that you didn't know your own people were this strong? We really didn't know. We always thought we were one of the weaker species. Lies. This is some kind of trick. Maybe you're using drugs to make your people stronger, or maybe you have secret technology. So Jin was getting frustrated. We don't have any secret technology. We don't use drugs, we're just normal humans. Normal humans, Krixtal repeated. Normal humans don't break Zephyrian hands. Normal humans don't bend titanium tools. Bend titanium tools? So Jin asked, confused. Krixtal told her about what happened with Tae-sung and the wrench. So Jin felt her heart sink. 2 incidents in one day was not good. It looked like humans were causing trouble, even though they weren't trying to. Ambassador, she said carefully, maybe we should work together to figure out what's happening. I'll have our doctor share her research with your medical team. Your doctor? Dr. Yoon has been running tests on our people. She's finding some unusual results. Word of the tests spread quickly through the station. By the end of the day, representatives from 12 different alien species had contacted So-jin, asking for information about human strength. Some of them sounded curious. Others sounded worried. A few sounded scared. That night, Minho couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what happened with Vexara and what Dr. Yoon had told him about his bones and muscles. He had never thought of himself as particularly strong. In the Korean Special Forces, he had been good but not the best. He was just a normal soldier who became a normal worker. But apparently, normal for humans was not normal for the rest of the galaxy. The next morning, Minho was back at work in the cargo bay when he noticed something strange. Usually, the bay was full of workers from different species all doing their jobs together. But today, most of the alien workers were staying far away from the human workers. They were scared. "Hey, Minho," Taesung called out, walking over with a worried look on his face. "Have you been watching the news feeds?" "No, why?" "The story about you and Vexara is on every channel in the galaxy. They're calling it the day the humans showed their true strength or something like that." Minho felt his stomach drop. "The whole galaxy?" "Yeah. And they're not just talking about you, they're talking about all of us. Some of the news reports are saying that humans have been pretending to be weak so we could spy on other species." "That's crazy," Minho said. "I know it's crazy. You know it's crazy. But a lot of aliens out there don't know it's crazy." As if to prove his point, a group of small green aliens who usually worked near the humans picked up their tools and moved to the other side of the cargo bay. They kept looking back at Minho and Taesung with big, frightened eyes. Minho realized that everything was about to change, not just for him, but for all humans in space. The secret was out, even though it had never been a secret at all. Humans were stronger than anyone had ever imagined, and now the whole galaxy knew it. 2 weeks after the incident with Vexara, the news had reached every corner of the galaxy. On the core worlds where the most powerful alien species lived, emergency meetings were being held. The topic was always the same: what to do about the humans. On the military planet Gorvax Prime, Overlord Vashitar was speaking to a room full of warrior aliens from different species. Vashitar was a Gorvaxian, one of the most feared races in the galaxy. He stood 8 feet tall, with thick gray, skin covered in battle scars. His voice was deep and scary. "My friends," he said, looking around the room, "we have been fooled. For years we thought humans were weak. We let them into our space stations, our colonies, our trading posts. We thought they were harmless." The crowd growled and hissed in agreement. There were Zephyrians like Vexara, giant rock creatures called stonemen, and poisonous spider aliens called Vexri. All of them were known for being strong and dangerous. But now we know the truth. Vashitar continued, "Humans are not weak, they are a weapon that has been sleeping among us waiting for the right time to strike." A stoneman in the front row raised his massive hand. "But Overlord, they still seem peaceful. They have not attacked anyone." "That is exactly what makes them so dangerous." Vashtar slammed his fist on the table, making a loud boom. "They are smart. They made us think they were weak so we would not fear them. This is the most clever trick in the history of warfare." Another alien spoke up. "What do you suggest we do?" Vashitar's eyes glowed red. "We destroy them before they destroy us. We attack Earth and all human colonies. We end this threat before it begins." Meanwhile, on Nexus 7 trading station, things were getting worse for the humans. More alien workers were avoiding them. Some species had stopped doing business with human companies completely. The fear was spreading. Commander Cho Jae-min had arrived 3 days ago with a small fleet of human ships. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had been sent by Earth's government to protect the humans on the station and try to calm things down. "The situation is bad," he told Park So-jin in her office. "We're getting reports from all over human space. Aliens are breaking contracts, canceling trade deals, even asking humans to leave some planets." "What does Earth want us to do?" So-jin asked. "Try to explain. Try to make them understand that we're not a threat, but..." Jae-min paused. "The government is also sending more military ships to protect our people, just in case." "More ships? That will make things worse. It will look like we're preparing for war." "Maybe we are," Jae-min said quietly. "Some of the reports we're getting are scary. There are aliens out there calling for humans to be wiped out completely." Dr. Yoon Hyejin had been working day and night, trying to understand what made humans so different. She had requested medical records from Earth and other human colonies. What she found was shocking. It's not just the adults, she told Minho and Taesung in her office. I looked at medical records for human children too. Even your kids are stronger than most adult aliens. Kids? Taesung asked, surprised. A 10-year-old human child has stronger bones and muscles than an adult Zephyrian. A human teenager could probably lift a car without much effort. Minho shook his head. But that's impossible. Kids are just kids. Not to aliens, they're not. To them, human children are like super soldiers. As if to prove her point, there was a loud crash from outside the medical office. Through the window, they could see a small crowd gathering in the station's main plaza. In the center of the crowd was a human family, 2 parents and a little girl who looked about 8 years old. The little girl was crying. Next to her was a huge cargo container that had fallen off a transport cart. The container was blocking the entrance to a shop, and several aliens were trying to move it. But the container was too heavy. Even working together, they couldn't lift. "My toy!" the little girl cried. "My toy is under there!" Her parents were trying to calm her down, but she was very upset. She had dropped her favorite toy, and it had rolled under the heavy container before it fell. "Don't worry, Soo-young," her mother said. "We'll get your toy back. We just need to wait for them to bring a gravity lift to move this container." But Soo-young didn't want to wait. She was 8 years old and she wanted her toy now. Before her parents could stop her, she walked over to the container and grabbed one corner of it. The container was huge. It was made of thick metal and full of machine parts. It weighed at least 2 tons. A normal person would need a forklift to move it. Soo-young lifted it over her head like it was empty. The crowd went completely silent. Even Soo-young's parents stared with their mouths open. The little girl held the massive container above her head with one hand, while she reached under it with the other hand to get her toy. "Got it," she said happily, pulling out a small stuffed animal. Then she gently put the container down and hugged her toy. The alien crowd backed away from her like she was made of fire. Some of them were shaking. Others looked like they were about to run away. They had just watched a human child lift something that their strongest adults couldn't move. "Soo-young," her father said in a shaky voice. "How did you do that?" "Do what, Daddy?" she asked, confused. "I just picked it up." News of the incident spread even faster than the first one with Minho. Within hours, videos of the little girl lifting the container were on every news channel in the galaxy. The headline was always the same: "Human child shows impossible strength." On the core worlds, the emergency meetings became more urgent. If human children were this strong, what did that mean for human adults? What did it mean for human soldiers? Overlord Vashitar watched the video of Soo-young lifting the container and felt real fear for the first time in his life. He had fought in 100 battles. He had conquered 12 planets. But he had never seen anything like this. "This changes everything," he told his advisors. "If their children can do this, imagine what their warriors can do." "What are your orders, Overlord?" asked his second-in-command. "Send messages to every warrior species in the galaxy. Tell them we are calling for a war council. The human threat must be dealt with immediately before they realize their own power." Back on Nexus 7, Commander Jae-min received an urgent message from Earth. The message was short but scary. "Military buildup detected on 12 worlds. Multiple species gathering fleets. Prepare for possible conflict." Jae-min called So-jin to his ship immediately. "We might have a problem," he told her. "A big problem." "What kind of problem?" "The kind that starts wars," Jae-min said grimly. "Intelligence reports say that several alien species are gathering their military forces. They're scared of us, and scared aliens do stupid things." "But we haven't done anything wrong," So-jin protested. "We're just trying to live our lives." "I know that. You know that, but they don't see it that way. They see humans lifting 2-ton containers like they're toys, and they think we're getting ready to take over the galaxy. So what do we do?" Jae-min looked out the window of his ship at the trading station where humans and aliens had been working, together peacefully for years. "I don't know," he said, "but I have a feeling we're going to find out soon." In her medical office, Dr. Yoon was still trying to understand the mystery of human strength. She had run every test she could think of, but she still didn't have a complete answer. There has to be something, she muttered, looking at the data on her screens. Humans didn't just become super strong for no reason. There has to be a cause. She thought about Earth, the planet where all humans came from. She thought about its gravity, its atmosphere, its environment. Most alien worlds were smaller than Earth, with lighter gravity. Most alien species evolved in easier conditions. But humans evolved on Earth, heavy, dangerous, difficult Earth. That's it, she whispered, her eyes going wide. That's the answer. She grabbed her communicator and called Commander Jamin. Commander, I think I know why we're so strong. And if I'm right, this is bigger than anyone imagined. What do you mean, Doctor? I mean, we need to contact Earth immediately. We need to tell them what I've discovered. Because if I'm right about this, the aliens aren't just scared of what humans can do now. They should be scared of what humans have always been able to do. As night fell on Nexus 7, the humans on the station gathered together in small groups, talking quietly about what was happening. They could feel the fear and suspicion around them growing stronger every day. None of them had asked to be strong. None of them had tried to scare anyone. They were just ordinary people, trying to live ordinary lives in space. But ordinary for humans, they were beginning to realize, was extraordinary for everyone else, and that was about to change everything. The Galactic Council met on the neutral planet Arbitros, a small world where no single species was allowed to have control. Representatives from 847 different alien species sat in the huge council chamber, all talking at once. The noise was incredible. At the center of it all was Chancellor Mordex, a wise old alien who looked like a cross between a turtle and an elephant. He had been leading the council for 50 years, and he had never seen the galaxy so divided. Order! Order! He called out, hitting his staff against the floor. We must have order! Slowly, the chamber grew quiet. All eyes turned to the center platform where Overlord Vashitar stood next to Ambassador Krixtal and several other military leaders. Honored Chancellor, Vashitar said, his voice carrying across the chamber, we are here to discuss the human problem. These creatures have been lying to us for years about their true nature. They are not the weak species we thought they were. They are dangerous. Dangerous? Chancellor Mordex asked. What evidence do you have of humans attacking anyone? They don't need to attack, Krixtal said, stepping forward. Their very existence is a threat. We have seen their children lift objects that our strongest warriors cannot move. We have seen their workers break our bones with their bare skin. How long before they decide to use this strength against us? Murmurs of agreement came from around the chamber. Many species were scared. They had seen the videos from Nexus 7. They had heard the stories. But not everyone agreed. This is madness, said Representative Dalesh, a blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. Humans have been peaceful for generations. They have helped us build trade routes, shared their knowledge, worked alongside us. They are not conquerors. That you know of, Vashitar replied darkly. But what will happen when they realize how strong they really are? What will happen when they decide they don't want to be equals anymore? The debate went on for hours. Some species wanted to isolate humans on their own worlds. Others wanted to study them. And some, led by Vashitar, wanted to eliminate the threat completely. Finally, Chancellor Mordex raised his staff for silence. We cannot make this decision based on fear alone, he said. But we also cannot ignore what we have seen. I propose a test. What kind of test? Asked Dalesh. A trial by combat. The humans will choose their strongest champion to fight our strongest warrior. If the human wins, we will recognize that they are a powerful species deserving of respect and protection. If they lose, they will agree to return to their home worlds and limit their contact with the rest of the galaxy. The chamber erupted in noise again. Some aliens thought it was a good idea. Others thought it was unfair. Who would fight for us? Vashtar asked. Chancellor Mordex was quiet for a moment. Then he said, the Titan of Gorvak. Every alien in the chamber went silent. The Titan of Gorvak was a legend. He was the greatest warrior in galactic history. He stood 12 feet tall and weighed over 1,000 pounds. He had never lost a fight. He had killed opponents with single punches. The Titan, someone whispered. But that's not fair. It is perfectly fair, Vashatar said with a cruel smile. If humans are as strong as they appear to be, their champion should have no trouble defeating him. And if they refuse the challenge? Asked Dalesh. Then we will know they are not as confident in their strength as they pretend to be, Chancellor Mordek said. The vote will be taken tomorrow. All in favor of the trial by combat? More than half the chamber raised their hands, tentacles, or claws. The motion passes. We will send the challenge to the human government on Earth. 3 days later on Earth, President Nam Subin sat in her office reading the challenge that had arrived from the Galactic Council. With her was General Huang Do-hyun, the head of Earth's space military. They want us to fight the Titan of Gorvak? President Nam asked, not believing what she was reading. It appears so, General Huang replied. According to our files, he has never been defeated. He once punched through the hull of a battleship, and if we lose, all humans have to come back to Earth and stay here? That's what they're demanding. No more human colonies, no more human traders, no more humans in space at all. President Nam put down the message and rubbed her forehead. This is insane. They're treating us like we're some kind of threat. Maybe we are, General Huang said quietly. What do you mean? I've been reading the reports from Nexus 7. Our people out there are doing things that should be impossible, lifting containers that weigh tons, breaking alien bones just by existing, bending titanium tools. Maybe we really are stronger than we thought. But we never tried to hurt anyone, we never wanted to scare them. I know. But fear makes people do stupid things. And right now the galaxy is very scared of us. President Nam stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the sprawling city of New Seoul, where millions of humans lived their normal lives. They had no idea that their entire future in space was about to depend on a single fight. If we accept this challenge, who would we send? She asked. General Huang opened a file on his tablet. I've been thinking about that. We need someone strong, obviously, but also someone smart, someone who can handle the pressure. Do you have someone in mind? Actually, yes. Lee Ji-eun. She's Minho's sister. The cargo worker from Nexus 7? Yes, but Ji-eun is different. She was a professional mixed martial arts champion before she joined the space program. She's also a lieutenant in our special forces. She's currently stationed on Mars. President Nam looked at the file. Ji-eun was smaller than her brother, only about 5 feet 6 inches tall. She looked like a normal young woman. You want to send her to fight a 12-foot-tall monster? I know how it sounds, but I have a theory about why we're so strong. And if I'm right, size won't matter. What theory? General Huang pulled up another file on his tablet. I've been working with Dr. Yoon's research from Nexus 7. She thinks our strength comes from living on Earth. What do you mean? Earth has heavy gravity compared to most alien worlds. We've been living under conditions that would crush most other species. Our bones, our muscles, our entire bodies have adapted to survive in what other aliens would consider extreme conditions. President, Nam was starting to understand. So when we're on lighter worlds, we're like people who have been training with heavy weights their whole lives and then suddenly the weights are taken away. We're not just strong for our size. We're strong, period. And you think Ji-eun can beat this Titan? I think any human could beat him if they really tried. The problem is that we've been holding back our whole lives. We've been trying not to hurt the aliens around us. But in this fight, Ji-eun won't have to hold back. President Nam was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "Contact Lieutenant Lee. Tell her she's being asked to save humanity's future in space. And if she says no, then we hope someone else will say yes, because I'm not going to let fear trap us on Earth forever." On Mars, Lieutenant Lee Ji-eun was finishing her morning workout when she got the call. The general explained the situation, the challenge, and what was at stake. "Let me get this straight," Ji-un said when he was done. "The aliens want me to fight their strongest warrior. If I win, humans get to stay in space. If I lose, we all have to go home to Earth." "That's correct. And this Titan guy has never lost a fight?" "Never. He's considered the greatest warrior in galactic history." Ji-un was quiet for a moment. Then she started laughing. "What's funny?" the general asked. "Do you know what I was just doing?" "Working out? I was bench pressing 2 tons for my warm-up, and I was being careful not to break the equipment." "So you'll do it?" "General, I've been holding back my whole life so I wouldn't hurt my sparring partners. This is the first time anyone has ever asked me to really try." Ji-un grinned. "When do I leave?" The news of the challenge spread quickly through human space. On Nexus 7, Minho watched the announcement with his friends. "Your sister is going to fight the Titan of Gorvak?" Taesung asked in amazement. "Yeah," Minho said, feeling proud and worried at the same time. "She always was the tough one in the family." "Do you think she can win?" Minho thought about all the times Ji-un had beaten him in fights when they were kids, even though he was bigger and older. He thought about how gentle she was with other people, always being careful not to hurt them. "The Titan has never fought a human before," Minho said. "He has no idea what he's getting into." Around the galaxy, aliens were making bets on the fight. Most of them bet on the Titan. How could a small human female defeat the greatest warrior who ever lived? But a few aliens, the ones who had seen what humans could really do, made different bets. They bet on the human. The fight was scheduled for 7 days from now. The location would be the great arena on Arbitros, with representatives from every species watching. It would be the most important fight in galactic history, and neither the Titan nor the galaxy had any idea what was coming. The arena on Arbitros was the biggest building on the planet. It could hold 1 million spectators, and today every seat was full. Aliens from all over the galaxy had come to watch the fight that would decide humanity's future. In the VIP section, Chancellor Mordex sat with other council leaders. President Nam Subin was there too, representing Earth. Her hands were shaking, but she tried to look calm. "Are you nervous, President Nam?" asked Chancellor Mordex. "Wouldn't you be?" she replied. "The future of my entire species depends on what happens in the next hour." Down in the arena preparation room, Lee Ji-un was getting ready. She wore simple fighting clothes, black pants and a gray shirt. No armor, no weapons, no special equipment. Just a small human woman who looked very ordinary. General Huang was with her, along with Min Ho, who had flown in from Nexus 7 to support his sister. "How do you feel?" General Huang asked. "Good," Ji-un said, stretching her arms. "Really good. Do you know how long it's been since I was allowed to use my full strength?" "Just remember," Minho said, "you don't have to kill him. Just win." "I know. But after a lifetime of holding back..." Ji-un smiled. "This is going to be fun." On the other side of the arena, the Titan of Gorvak was preparing too. He was a massive creature, 12 feet tall and covered in thick gray skin. His arms were as big as tree trunks. His hands could crush stone. He had killed 37 opponents in single combat and had never even been hurt in a fight. "This will be quick," he told his handlers in a voice like rolling thunder. "The little human will break like a twig." "Don't underestimate her," warned his trainer, an old Gorvaxian warrior. "These humans are stronger than they look." The Titan laughed, a sound like rocks falling down a mountain. "I have seen the videos. Yes, they are stronger than expected. But I am the Titan. I have never lost. I will not lose to a creature half my size." In the arena, a massive screen showed aliens all over the galaxy watching the fight. Billions of creatures were tuned in. On Nexus 7, every human and alien on the station was gathered around screens. On Earth, entire cities had stopped working to watch. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all species, today we witness a trial by combat that will decide the fate of humanity in our galaxy." The crowd roared. Most of them were cheering for the Titan. In the north corner, weighing 200 pounds and standing 12 feet tall, the undefeated champion of Gorvak's prime, the Titan. The Titan walked into the arena and the ground shook with each step. He raised his massive arms and the crowd went wild. He looked unstoppable, like a living mountain. And in the south corner, weighing 140 pounds and standing 5 feet 6 inches tall, representing the human species, Lieutenant Lee Ji-un. Ji-un walked into the arena, and the crowd got very quiet. She looked impossibly small next to the Titan. Many aliens started to feel sorry for her. This looked like it was going to be a massacre, but Min-ho, watching from the preparation area, wasn't worried. He had seen his sister fight before. He knew what she could do when she stopped holding back. The referee, a neutral alien species that looked like a floating jellyfish, moved to the center of the arena. "The rules are simple," it said in a voice that carried across the arena. "No weapons, no outside help. Fight until one cannot continue. Are both fighters ready?" The Titan pounded his chest and roared. Ji-un simply nodded. "Begin." The Titan charged. Immediately. He was fast for something so big, crossing the arena in just a few steps. His plan was simple: grab the little human and crush her before she could do anything. Ji-un didn't run. She didn't dodge. She just stood there waiting. The Titan reached her and swung his massive fist down at her head. It was a punch that could have destroyed a car. Ji-un caught his fist in her hand. The sound of the impact echoed through the arena, but it wasn't the sound of bones breaking. It was the sound of the Titan's punch being stopped completely. The crowd went silent. The Titan's eyes went wide with shock. His punch, which had never been stopped before, was held in place by a human hand that looked tiny compared to his fist. "My turn," Ji-un said quietly. She pulled the Titan toward her and punched him in the stomach. The Titan flew backward 20 feet and crashed into the arena wall. Stone and dust exploded everywhere. The crowd couldn't believe what they were seeing. The Titan got up slowly, shaking his head. He had never been hit so hard in his life. He looked at Ji-un with new respect and a little fear. "Impossible," he muttered. "Not impossible," Ji-un said, walking toward him. "Just unexpected." The Titan roared and charged again, this time trying to tackle her to the ground. Ji-un waited until the last second, then stepped aside and grabbed him as he went past. Using his own momentum, she threw him across the arena like he weighed nothing. The Titan crashed into the ground so hard that it cracked the stone floor. He got up again, but slower this time. "How?" he gasped. "How are you so strong?" "I'm not particularly strong," Ji-un said. "Not for a human. I'm just not holding back anymore." The Titan couldn't understand. He had trained his whole life to be the strongest warrior in the galaxy. He had never met anyone who could match his strength, let alone surpass it. He tried again, throwing punch after punch at Ji-un. But every punch was either blocked or dodged. And every time Ji-un hit back, the Titan staggered. The crowd was completely silent now. They were watching their greatest warrior get beaten by someone who looked like she could be knocked over by a strong wind. After 5 minutes of fighting, the Titan was breathing hard and bleeding from several cuts. Ji-un looked like she had barely started warming up. "This is impossible," the Titan said, falling to one knee. "You're just a human. You're supposed to be weak." "We were never weak," Ji-un said, not even breathing hard. "We just lived on a world that was harder than yours. Earth has heavy gravity, dangerous weather, and tough conditions. We had to become strong just to survive." She walked closer to the exhausted Titan. "Every day of our lives, we carry weights that would crush. Most aliens, our bones are dense like rocks. Our muscles are built for surviving in conditions you can't imagine. And we've been holding back our whole lives because we didn't want to hurt anyone." The Titan tried to stand up for one last attack, but his legs gave out. He collapsed to the ground, unable to continue. "I yield," he said quietly. "The human wins." The arena exploded in noise. Aliens who had been cheering for the Titan were now cheering for Ji-un. They couldn't believe what they had just seen, but they couldn't deny it either. In the VIP section, President Nam stood up with tears in her eyes. Chancellor Mordex looked shocked but impressed. "It seems," he said, that we have greatly underestimated humanity. The referee floated to the center of the arena. The winner is Lieutenant Lee Ji-yoon of Earth. According to the terms of the trial, humanity is recognized as a strong and worthy species, deserving of full rights and protection in our galaxy. Over the next few days, everything changed. The fear that aliens had felt toward humans turned into respect. Species that had been avoiding humans now wanted to hire them as security guards and protectors. Overlord Vashatar, who had wanted to destroy humanity, found himself asking for human peacekeepers to help stop a war on his home planet. Ambassador Crixtal publicly apologized for his species' treatment of humans and offered trade deals that were very favorable to Earth. Dr. Yoon's research was published across the galaxy, explaining how Earth's harsh conditions had made humans naturally strong. Other species began to understand that humans weren't trying to be deceptive. They simply didn't realize how different they were. Back on Nexus 7, things were very different. Minho was now respected by every alien on the station. Vexara, her hand fully healed, approached him one day while he was working. "Human," she said, but her voice was respectful now, not mean. "My name is Minho," he replied. "Minho," she corrected herself. "I wanted to apologize and I wanted to ask if you would teach my people about strength. Real strength." Minho looked at her for a moment, then smiled. "I'd be happy to help, but I should warn you, we'll have to start with the children's workout routine." Vexara nodded seriously. "We understand. We have much to learn." As Minho watched Vexara walk away, he thought about how much had changed since that day 2 months ago when she had broken her hand on his stomach. Back then, humans were seen as the weakest species in the galaxy. Now they were seen as the protectors of it, and the best part was, they had done it not by trying to be strong, but simply by being themselves. The galaxy was a very different place, now, and it was a better one. On Earth, President Nam Soo-bin received reports from human colonies across space. Everywhere, humans were being asked to help keep the peace, to protect the weak, and to stand guard against those who would do harm. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy at last, not as conquerors or rulers, but as guardians, and in a universe full of dangers, that was exactly what the galaxy needed.